Good morning / afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's actually a pretty rainy morning here in the Midwest of Kansas City. But I hope that you guys are having an amazing day so far, an amazing start of your week. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're a new viewer, listener, then I just want to say thank you for joining us and welcome. And if you are already here from previous videos, then, well, welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. So, yeah, this is another episode of the MMA show. This kind of podcast that I do once a week, just talking about MMA, UFC, fights, and all of that good stuff, So if you guys enjoy, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any future videos or content that I do. I definitely want to do more content later on in the future, more maybe blogging style or just other type of content, not just podcasting. But I love doing this, so gotta turn that light on too. Well, we had some really good fights over the weekend, and then obviously we had the main event, which was, well, for the lack of a better words, shocking, surprising. Although, is it really though? Because we always say this. I always say this before any fight. No matter how favorite a guy is, I always say MMA is MMA, and anything could happen at any moment, right? When I'm saying stuff like that, though, I'm mostly referring to guys, sorry, my mic. I'm referring to mostly guys maybe getting clipped, getting KO'd, the first round, second round, shit like that. Shit that you don't expect, right? Which almost happened too in this fight. But what we didn't expect is Sean just completely dominating. And yeah, dominating, right? And well, it wasn't dominating as in the fact of like, oh, he beat him in every single aspect of the fight, because the fight was just one aspect, which was boxing. That's it. There was hardly any kicks. I mean, he did check a lot of Izzy's kicks, so that's good. But no head kicks, no body kicks so much. Izzy had a few, nothing too crazy. And then it was just boxing. There was no wrestling, no grappling whatsoever. It was straight up a boxing fight. And out of the two, the guy that's apparently the much better boxer is Sean Strickland, right? He looked great. He looked phenomenal. If you listen to the past podcast, you might want to say, oh, you're a hypocrite, because I was obviously rooting for Izzy, but so was everyone else, right? And it's just when I make a quote unquote prediction, right? Because I don't really call it. I mean, I do call it prediction, but I'm not predicting anything. I'm just giving you my opinion. When I do that, I'm looking at the previous records, who they fought, who they beat, who they lost to, and then I'm looking at their tools, the tools that they have in their belt, the tools that they have to finish a fight or to fight in general, right? And if you're looking at those two on paper, you can't tell me that Izzy has the best tools to win the fight, right? He has more kickboxing experience, so one would think a better striker overall, right? I knew, and I mentioned this last time, that Sean had great boxing. I did mention that. I mentioned he had great combos, and he did show that this fight. I'll talk about it here in a sec too. But if you look at the tools overall, Izzy has more tools to win this fight, I think, and that's one of the main criteria that I've used to judge some of the fights that I've predicted in the past. What I didn't expect is for Izzy to just don't look as good, and I don't want to say that because I don't want to think that Sean win because Izzy didn't look good. Sorry. Izzy definitely looked off, though. Izzy definitely looked slower, and I don't know why. I don't know why I keep moving this. I don't know why, but he does that thing that cost him the fight against Alex, too. He did the exact same thing where he would just put himself against the cage and just kind of bob and weave and just, okay, well, left to right. Bro, why are you doing that, first of all? He did it early on the fight, even before he got clipped. And then he kept doing it throughout the entire fight, right? Also, what he didn't expect was for Sean to be such a great counter striker or counter boxer. Izzy is considered one of, if not the best counter striker in the UFC and MMA. That was his bread and butter all the time. Is if you want to risk it with Izzy, if you want to go at him and press forward, you're getting clipped and you're getting knocked the fuck out. That was his forte, and Sean beat him at that. Every time Izzy would throw one or two, Sean would throw 4 fucking punches and land most of them, land at least 2. Every single exchange that happened. So Izzy, again, I'm not an expert, I'm not a coach in any way, but if I can say what I saw in the fight and what Izzy could do better, and again, that's my opinion, I think Izzy needed to get the fuck away from the cage. Don't do that dumb shit that you go against the cage and then he's like, oh, do I go left? Do I go right? That doesn't work that well because it's a 50-50, bro. Yeah, you're choosing left or right. You're like, but Sean could easily clip you with the right or with the left, and what you're doing is you're zigzagging, right? And we've all heard that expression, if I zig when I should have sagged, I get knocked out. And that's what it is. That's the way I look at it. I think it's a 50-50. Another thing that Izzy could have done different is that I think he just wasn't throwing as much for whatever reason. I don't know if this was because he got clipped and he was just nervous, but he just wasn't throwing as much. He was at the most throwing combinations of 2 strikes, 1-2s, and then occasionally would throw a kick, calf kick, and then occasionally go high with the kick, but never really did anything with it. So I think it was just lack of volume. Izzy had no volume at all in this fight. And that's another thing that Sean did better than him, is just throw more. Like I said, for every 2 punches that Izzy would throw, like in an exchange, Izzy would go 1-2. You know, it would go 1 Izzy, 1 Strickland, 1 Izzy, and then Strickland would go like another 1-2 piece. And like I said, land most of them. So I don't know, man. I really don't know what happened. I don't want to take away from Sean's win. He proved that he's an actually savage. He beat the champ fair and square. And even if you say, oh, well, it was a close... No, it was... First of all, it was not a close fight, okay? It was not a close fight. First round, damn near almost ended it. He was this close. He clipped him. That's when you know he's a better boxer. He clipped him clean. Clipped Izzy. You know, Izzy goes down. Izzy probably was praying for the ref not to stop the fight, even though he did get clipped pretty hard. A lot of the follow-up punches, a lot of those also landed pretty well while he was on the floor. But I think once he got up, he did a good job at defending and covering up. And then he was able to get out of it. But I think I thought they were about to stop it. I said, oh my God, they're about to stop the fight. And shout out to the ref. I mean, maybe if Izzy didn't get up, that's what he did good. He got up. I think he did learn that from the Alex fight. Because in the Alex fight, he said he was fine. Who knows? But he was down, and then he was also just like face down. So maybe he said, okay, I actually have to get up for this not to be stopped right now, right? So he did that, and he got up, and the fight moved on. I really thought, okay, well, at that point, I was in a little bit of disbelief. Not disbelief, but I was like, okay, well, Izzy got hurt. Now he woke up, right, and now he's going to come back round 2, round 3, and just, you know, do what he does best, always, right? And that moment never came. That moment did not happen. Izzy couldn't land anything on Strickland. I mean, he landed some stuff, but, like, he just couldn't land at all as far as power punches. He landed some jabs and one hook here and there, I think, with the left. And I actually think he landed a head kick, but it was just not a competitive fight at all. I mean, most people give Izzy 1 round. I honestly gave Sean... Fuck, dude. I don't know, dude, but could have he won all 5 rounds? I think so, bro. I think so. Like, the first one was definitely him. The rest of the rounds, were tough to score because there was just not a lot of action, big moments, right? If on the first round, if we had a big moment like that, then obviously the round goes to the guy that had the big moment. There was no big moments in the continuation of the fight. It was just Izzy on a back foot, Strickland going forward. Again, winning most of the exchanges, starting the exchange, and then maybe finishing the exchange. And I think that's what Izzy just couldn't figure out. Who couldn't really crack it. Again, I don't want to take anything from Strickland, but Izzy definitely had an off day. Definitely did not throw as much as he always does. And then Strickland just, a perfect combination of pressing forward and also landing the more exchanges and not getting hit. I mean, his face was clean. He did not really get any punishment at all this fight. So that's what won him the fight, right? And then what surprised me too was, later on the championship fights, I was like, okay, this is where Izzy is going to turn it up, right? None of the guys were really tired. If anything, I think Izzy was more tired than Sean, but none of them were fatigued where they couldn't, move. Both guys still had some cardio, so that's good. Sean's cardio is phenomenal too. That's another thing he proved. But I think essentially what gave most of the rounds to Sean, each individual round, other than the first one, was the pressing forward. And that's what Izzy, again, going back to my first point, that's what Izzy should have changed, is not back up against the cage so much. I don't know why he does that, because he puts himself against the cage, and if he gets in a situation where he gets clipped or he gets popped with the jab, you can't go back, bro. You can't go back. And then if you move left or right, you're open for a hook. You're opening yourself for a nasty either left or right hook. And, Sean can land both. So it's just, just a matter of, is he not really? I don't know, man. Again, he's a fucking world champion, right? Who am I to sit here and say, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that? But from an outside perspective, he just does that too much. It clearly wasn't working for him. If I'm his corner, hey, why are you backing up against the corner and then, doing that? Clearly it's not working. You did it against Alex and you clipped him. Okay, worked. Clearly it's not working. We're in round 3. We're in round 4. We're losing rounds. You have to change your game up. You have to press forward instead, right? Show more volume, more output, bro. Throw more just throw more in general, more elbows, knees, legs, whatever. Just throw more of it, right? Because we were losing, right? And then maybe he was hoping for a later KO, round 4 KO, round 5 KO. That obviously did not come, obviously. And then it just goes back to Sean's great defense. That's another point that I was going to make. Sean fucking had an amazing defense, and we knew this also coming in. We knew that the stat that Sean has, I think, one of the best defenses in the UFC, if I'm not mistaken. He gets hit the least, bro. And you saw that morning. I mean, he proved it. He proved that 100%. He barely got touched by Izzy. Nevertheless, it was an okay fight. Again, I was expecting more moments. Obviously the big shock heartbeat where my heart was pounding was in round number 1, obviously, when I thought it was about to be over. And, I think if you're an Izzy fan, that would have been better, right? Oh, you got clipped. It happens. Great. Again, Alex clipped him, right? But it was hurting. It was hurting to then see 4 more rounds of Izzy just losing, right? It hurt. It hurt his legacy. It hurt his image. So almost I think it would have been better if he would have gotten knocked the fuck out. Obviously, it would have been more of a shock and I think more of a meme. But as the fight went on, people were like, okay, well, Sean's winning. So when he won, it wasn't a big shock. It was yeah, I mean, obviously, we just watched the fight. If they would have given it to Izzy, I think it would have been a fucking robbery, honestly. Because like I said, most people had it. Sean, 4 rounds, if not 5. It's tough. And it's tough when you have a close round, because some of the middle rounds were definitely closer. As I was watching it live, I want to say Izzy had the second round. I'm like, okay, well, second or third could go either way, right? So that's when you get to this is technically not a close fight, but it could be a close fight, especially because of the judges in the UFC. We've seen how, think about it. If obviously round 1 was Sean, right? Round 2, a judge gives it to Izzy, right? And then round 3, let's say another judge gives it to Izzy. Now he's winning the fight, even though he got clipped, right? I think Sean showed his later dominance in round 4 and 5. Round 2 and 3, could have gone either way, I think, in my opinion, right? Obviously, they went to Sean. Maybe one judge gave it to Izzy, but that's where it becomes tough because only a couple of those bad decisions by a judge, you can see how it can impact the whole outcome of a fight. Like I said, Izzy could have won the fight if one of the judges pulls a fucking card, like, you know, in the past where they've done some shitty ass decisions. If one of those judges gives Izzy 1 or 2 more rounds, you could have a split decision or a closer fight in general. But luckily that didn't happen this time. Luckily, Sean kind of proved the dominance over the fight, right? Again, throughout the fight, Sean just showed dominance throughout the entire fight, right? And again, it wasn't a super like amazing fight, right? Not a lot of big moments. But he showed it. He did it, and he took down the dub. I'm definitely happy for him, bro. You know, after I think the way a lot of people's initial reaction to Sean obviously was a lot of the clips and stuff that him saying just outrageous shit, right, in interviews. And I think that's who he is. He does say outrageous shit. But once you listen to him, really, like, I watched the JRE episode, and then I also watched the Nelk episode that he did. The guy is actually kind of smart, bro. And I've said this before, too. He's kind of smart, bro. Go listen to those, right? I know he goes up there in the press conferences to say, oh, guys, I don't have a GED, like the fuck, right? And yeah, I mean, right, he might not have the best education, but the guy's pretty goddamn smart socially, and just like the way he talks about some of the politics and some of the current state of the country and the world is like, all right, I can kind of see what he's saying, and I kind of agree to it. So the guy's definitely not dumb, right? And he's pretty goddamn smart. So I'm happy for him, especially after the Embedded kind of showed a little bit more of his personal life, you know, him hanging out with his girlfriend and shit like that, and just the way he lives. You know, he even said it that, oh, this shirt is $10 at Walmart, and I buy a pack. And just a simple, humble, honest guy. I think he's a great guy, in my opinion. I know some people give him shit. People call him, he was a neo-Nazi and stuff like that. And okay, he even said that he apologized, and he's aware of his past, and he apologized for that. Obviously, you can't really choose the way you grow up, right? Like, yeah, some of the decisions he made are probably not. Bro, okay. As I'm saying this, I'm remembering that in the press conference, okay? Imagine this. You just become world champion of the UFC, and one of the first things you say when you get on the mic is that you shot a fucking dog. That's why I think people love Sean, is because he's just genuine and just authentic. And, you know, he doesn't really bullshit. And, you know, he said it was self-defense, whatever. I don't really care. I love dogs. I have my dog right here next to me, and if someone would have shot him, I'd probably be pretty fucking upset. But also, if another dog rushed at my dog with the intent of killing him, and, you know, obviously I see that he's a dangerous dog, bigger dog, then yeah, I'm gonna protect my dog, bro, right? I don't know if I'm gonna shoot him, but I'll definitely fucking soccer kick him in the face or some shit like that. But I don't know, man. It's just one of those things that makes Sean, right? One of the first things he says as a world champion. And it's just outrageous, right? But again, that's the clips and sound bites a lot of people get, and then just make their own minds of, oh, this guy's an asshole. Oh, this guy's a piece of shit. Right? I'm not saying he has no bad things. I'm just saying when I listen to him on a longer format, interview style, podcast style, not just an interview, I think the stuff he says is not that outrageous, right? He makes a lot of sense. I can't remember specifically what he was talking about, you know, it was in the Joe Rogan, but in the Nelk, I haven't finished the entire episode, but he was saying about how, you know, being a man and just being authentic and, you know, not bullshitting, you know, not like choosing the easy way towards life, or, you know, I think what he was saying actually made a lot of fucking sense, right? He was basically saying you can either be an asshole and that's going to be easy, right? He gave the example of when bitch ass Steiny was they were doing a pod with Dill and Dennis, right? And how Kyle was the one that said, yeah, that's kind of fucked up, right? And then Steiny was kind of riding with Dylan, right? So Sean's like, yeah, you're a bitch, right? Steiny, as we all know, he's a fucking rat. And then Kyle, he's like, yeah, I can see you more of the grown man, alpha male, that, it's like, yeah, that's fucked up, bro. You shouldn't talk about someone's wife like that. And I agree with him. A lot of the shit he says like that makes a lot of fucking sense, bro. It's easier to be an asshole, and it's a little bit harder to be real and genuine. So I don't know. It's really interesting stuff. I know he said that he wanted to start a podcast. So I'm definitely a fan now of Sean. I mean, I was before the fight, but I just never got as much Sean Strickland exposure as I've been getting this past fucking week. So just made me a fan, made me a huge fan. So yeah, that was the main event of what's next for those two guys. I mean, obviously there's the possibility of the rematch that could happen. There was also talks of maybe not doing an immediate rematch and letting Izzy take some time off and see what happens. I don't know. Sean just kind of said whatever the UFC wants to do, I'll do. Sean said, hey, the UFC never asked me who I want to fight. That might change now, Sean. I think that's one of the things he's going to realize is that as a champion, you might have, especially if you defend the title, bro, you're going to have leverage. You're going to have leverage. If you defend the title, maybe get a couple of male followers on Instagram, the UFC is going to suck your cock. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to fucking suck you off. And I think Sean kind of said, hey, whoever the UFC wants to do next, that's fine. If they want to do Izzy next, that's fine, right? And look, I think overall it's great when a new champion comes to the scene, right? I love to see a dominant champion, and I love to see a legacy being built like Izzy, like Izzy, like Kamaru Usman, like these guys that have been long-time champions and they keep defending. It's great when they lose, right? It was great when Kamaru lost to what's his name? Leon. It was great when Kamaru lost to Leon because it opens up the division, right? We saw that already. It opens up new opportunities for new fights that we haven't seen. Same with Izzy, right? Now that Izzy lost and Sean is the champ, if they don't do an immediate rematch, there's a lot of good guys there that Izzy already fought and beat, and we all saw them, that now get another shot. They get another shot. We get another cool fight, right? I would love to see maybe Sean versus like Dracus du Plessis or Robert Whittaker or Marvin Vettori, one of those guys, right? And then there was also talks of, I think, Hamza joining that division pretty soon. Actually, I mean, he's fighting Paulo Costa. So if he fights Paulo Costa and wins, ragdolls his ass, maybe he's going to be in that talk too, in that mix. Now, I would have loved to see personally AZ versus Hamzat. If AZ would have just continued to win, and then Hamzat comes, and that's when we have a big blockbuster fight. That would have been a massive fight, right? Now that he's lost twice, I don't know. Do you really want to see that fight? I think they still make it, even if it's not for a champion, for a championship, for a belt. But now, I mean, I'm also excited for Sean versus Hamzat. I think that would be a great fight too, right? Especially because Hamzat comes with great wrestling and great grappling. But again, just opens up the division for new opportunities, for new everything, and I think that's a great thing, honestly, right? Again, I love to see a dominant champ. I've loved to see, I have been absolutely amazed with the works of Izzy, Kamaru, and then also Volkanovski. He's done some amazing shit too in his division. Just dominant champs, right? Volk already beat, most of the top contenders, right? So if another guy comes and beats Volk, now there's opportunity again for just more blood, right? So yeah, it's cool. We'll see what happens. As far as what's next for them, yeah, in my opinion, I would love to see a rematch. I think it happens next year. I think early next year. I think March next year. Nah, maybe like earlier. Maybe like February or even January. I don't know. We'll see. I would love to see that. If not, then I think Strickland should fight either Robert Whittaker or Dracus du Plessis, and then Izzy should wait for the Costa and Khamzat fight, and then make Izzy versus Khamzat a number one contender fight, and then whoever wins fights Sean for the title. That would be great, because that would be like lighting a fire again under Izzy, under his fucking butt, for lack of better words. It would be like, okay, you're gonna make me compete again and be a contender again. Okay, maybe that'll give him some inspiration. It'll motivate him a little bit to just do better. And just, not that he wasn't doing good, right? But just maybe he lost some of that, some of that inspiration. And it's happened to guys before once they reach a level, because the question has to be asked: did Israel peak at the Alex fight, right? The first fight, he was doing phenomenal, obviously, and obviously got clipped. And the second fight, obviously, he clipped Alex, right? As far as hype goes and popularity and I think overall performances, I think that was his peak so far. The question is, can he come back and peak again? Who knows? We're going to have to wait and see. If that was his peak and now he's, now in a decline, which I would love to see, but it comes to every guy, obviously, right? Then he has the option of retiring. He has the option of just mega fights. Maybe an Alex rematch just for the like I said, like a mega fight. That maybe will be good. We'll see, man. Izzy has done what he has done. He is a champion through and through. He will be remembered as probably one of the GOATs ever. Right there with John Jones, right there with GSP. I think he is definitely a GOAT, right? Now, there is another side of the coin to all of this. I don't want... listen, don't come at me, right? But have you ever... Let's say what happened to Aljo, right? Aljo was a kind of dominant champion. He defended his title, like 2 or 3 times? 3 times, I think. Yeah, 3. And then he lost, and then you're like, okay, well... Looking back at his title reign, it wasn't that impressive, right? When you look at Aljo's record, right? He had 2 split decisions, I think, and then 2 split decisions, and then 1, he beat a guy with no shoulder. Okay, well, all right. They're wins, but are they good wins? And then, again, Izzy is the GOAT, but when you look at some of Izzy's fights, okay, well, he had boring fights, for the lack of better words, or slow fights against Cannonier, against Joel Romero. Both of the fights against Vittori was boring. And then the last one versus Whitaker. 5 fights that, off the top of my head, that I can remember that were pretty uneventful, just a defense, and you barely won, and boom, that's it. You get the dub, or you get the W, but so when you talk about records, right? Oh, and add to that list of losses, right? A failed attempt at light heavyweight, right? And now look at his wins, right? He has, in my opinion, 3 really good, wins that would maybe play into the conversation of GOAT, like when he knocked out, obviously, Whitaker for the belt, when he knocked out Paulo Costa, and then when he knocked out Alex Pereira, right? Other than those, I might be missing some, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure I just said all his title defenses in his other, most recent fights. I'm thinking, I don't know, I can't be missing one. But either way, when you look at that record, do you really put him as one of the GOATs, a middleweight GOAT, a all in general UFC GOAT, MMA GOAT? UFC GOAT, I don't know, right? MMA GOAT, maybe. I'll tell you why, because even before he got to the UFC, he was a kickboxing champion. So That's pretty damn impressive, and that's a really good decorated guy. Now, I don't know a lot about his kickboxing record. I don't know who the guys he fought. I don't know if they were easy fights. Probably not, but you know, they weren't like Alex Pereira level. Obviously, when he fought Alex, he lost. So again, it's just, you know, that background, we know it's there. We know it's an impressive kickboxing world champion background, but does it add up to his GOAT status in the UFC? Maybe not. As a MMA or as a MMA GOAT in general, as a sport, not just the UFC organization, then yeah, maybe it plays towards his GOAT status, right? Middleweight GOAT, I don't know. I guess I would have to look back and go over Anderson's status and sort of his record. I know most of his record, but I can't think of the top of my head all the details. But I know he's the middleweight GOAT. That is he do enough, right, to become that GOAT that everyone's talking about, right? Is he the best middleweight ever? Is he second to Anderson? UFC-wise, is he a GOAT behind John Jones? Is he not? Like, at this point, at this moment, just because of the 2 losses he's had and because of the way he's won most of his fights, I would put Volk at a higher GOAT status as far as UFC. And again, this is all my opinion. You can have your own GOATs, and that's great. I personally, for example, do not have Khabib in my GOAT status, in my GOAT list, right? And I know most people do. Again, that's my own personal opinion. I'm not asking you to change your mind, and I'm not fucking defending anybody. That's just my opinion, right? So I definitely have Volk right now again above Izzy. GSP, John Jones is number 1 for sure. I mean, at some point I'll probably make a GOAT list video. Let me know if you want to, you know, see that. I can definitely make that happen. But for sure, John Jones at the top, GSP, Anderson Silva, and then Volk, and then maybe we can start talking about maybe Connor, maybe Daniel Cormier, and then if you know, I mean, if you want to throw women's in the mix, for sure, like Amanda Nunes, you know, Ronda Rousey, Cain Velasquez, I think is in the GOAT status. So I would probably have all those people before Israel. And again, if you're just, I know what you're saying, if you're just comparing like wins and if you're just comparing records, like you're going based off AZ's record, do the same for the rest of the people, right? Sure, I'll do it. Not right now. That's what I said. If you want me to make a video, an in-depth video, I'll probably do it. Honestly, who gives a fuck about GOATs? I'll do it. I promise you guys. It'll come in the next couple weeks or months. That's a video that I probably have to prepare a lot for, do good research on everyone's records, you know, and I even forgot someone like Mighty Mouse, you know, who people think is someone like Joe Rogan puts him as the GOAT, even more so than John Jones. But yeah, I would have to do really good research on everyone's record, their background, who they faced, when, you know. I don't want to talk about anything that happened outside of the UFC, right? Because then if we're talking someone like John Jones or Conor McGregor, then obviously they have shit going on outside the UFC that taints their image and taints their legacy, right? But I'm not going to talk about that. My list, my points are going to be solely based on MMA and their record inside the cage, and that is it. But anyways, that's mainly the main event. I know I ran on a rant about only the main event. I haven't touched on the other fights, but yeah, we had some good fights. So we have Tai Tuivasa, who unfortunately lost against Alexander Volkov. A lot of heavyweights in this card, but I was a little upset. I'm a huge fan of Tai. I think that he deserves wins. He's unfortunately been on a losing streak. I think this is his 3rd in a row that he lost, but he's had some great fights too, so that's why he's kind of hanging on there at the top. You know, he defeated Derek Lewis, so yeah, he definitely has an impressive record, but as of lately he's been getting mostly else. So that's a problem, man. That's a problem. So you have to reassess and see what happens. He comes in. I don't know what's up with him. It's not a confidence thing. It's just a matter of, I think, not having enough skills. You're relying too much on the one KO power, one knockout punch power. That backfires on you because you get a guy like Cyril Gane, you get a guy like Alexander Volk, who they're just really fucking good, well-rounded, no matter where the fight goes, right? Well, Cyril Gane is not a good wrestler, or grappler, but Volkov I think is, right? And he showed that. I mean, he submitted Ty. That was a great win for him. As far as what's next for him, the heavy division right now, it's on a weird status because we're waiting for the John Jones and Stipe fight. We have some other people in the mix. Some people like Tom Aspinall. Let me see who else. Some people like Derek Lewis is there. I think he won his last fight. No, I think he lost. No, he won. Yeah, he won that fight. By the way, it was a crazy fight. Come out with a flying knee, fucking insane, dude. So that heavyweight division right now, it's a little bit stuck up, but you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, right? Francis backed it up a ton, and then John Jones just did, not that active because he obviously didn't have that many opponents. But now that he's fighting Stipe, we're gonna see what happens there, and then because we have to wait to see if he retires or not. I already talked about this in my last video because I was talking about the Cyril Gane fight too. Oh, Cyril Gane's there too. I forgot about him. So maybe Cyril Gane versus Volk. That might be a good, or Volkov. What's his name? Volk or Volkov? Volkov. Yeah, that's his name. Volk. I'm calling him Volk because that's how I call Volkanovski. Wow, almost same name, Alexander Volkov, and then the other name is Alexander Volkanovski. So very, very similar. So honest mistake, guys. I'm sorry. So yeah. That division right now, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but we still don't have all the answers. We're going to have to wait to see what happens with John Jones and Stipe, see if they retire or not. And then maybe Cyril Gane versus Alexander would be a good fight for the number one contender. Or maybe interim, not interim, but to fulfill the vacant title, whoever... if John Jones wins but he retires, and then if Stipe retires, then there's no champ. So you have to have a champ with, again, that could be a good fight between Alexander Volkov and Cyril Gane. Maybe Cyril Gane and Tom Aspinall. That's one idea that I had in the last video that I did. So yeah, I think either of those fights are pretty good, and either of them will be a deserving champ. I mean, that division, the heavyweight division, has always been a division that it doesn't require a lot of skill. What the fuck is wrong with this mic? It doesn't require a lot of skill, but it definitely it's more up for grabs. Like any heavyweight, kind of like Derek Lewis, can go on a tear of the most knockouts, and then he was right there. He was at the title, right? As we know, not a ton of skill, obviously no grappling whatsoever, obviously not a lot of kicks going on and stuff like that. So it's mainly purely power punches. So Derek almost did it. Derek, obviously I don't want to say his fights are easy and stuff, but if we had a Izzy or a Alex Pereira style guy or a heavyweight like Cyril Gane, it's tough, right? That's why when Derek fought Cyril Gane, it just didn't go his way. That's why when Tai Tuivasa fought Cyril Gane, it didn't go his way. Because right now we're trying to see more of that. People like Tom Aspinall, people like Alexander Volkov, who come here and they say, okay, I'm big and I'm a heavyweight. That doesn't mean I just have to rely on a power punch, right? And just... That's why I don't think Francis is that good. I mean, we've all heard, it's dangerous KO. Yeah, if he clips you, you get knocked out. But that's every single heavyweight. I mean, if Tai clips you, if Volkov clips you, every heavyweight clips you, you're gone, bro. So for Francis to have that one fight against, I think it was either Rosenstruck or Curtis Blades, one of those two, who was just like, he was just looping. He almost looked like this, honestly. He almost looked like this. I'm not even going to cap. This was Francis when he fought that right here. One of those just so happened to land, and oh my God, this guy is a nasty KO artist. Okay, well, he's good, but he's not that good. Obviously, he got better, but, that's for another conversation, another video. So, yeah, man, we're going to have to see what happens with that division. So, yeah, I'll keep you posted for sure if you don't know. Then we had a flyweight fight. I thought it was actually really fucking interesting flyweight fight. This guy, Manuel Capi versus Felipe Dos Anjos, however they call him. I'm Mexican, so I call him Dos Santos. But Capi, bro, Manuel Capi, that guy's pretty good. It's pretty good. And then they were showing some of his highlights, and holy shit, that guy has definitely some impressive fucking highlights, dude. That's one thing. Yeah, we may have a new flyweight contender up on our sleeve, guys. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities there at flyweight. Let me see who's there right now. So we have the champ, who's Pantoja, Moreno, Figueiredo. Oh yeah, he wanted to fight Kai Kara France. He was calling him out. During the press conference, he threw a water bottle at him, which I thought was fucking wild. I hadn't seen nobody done that since fucking Conor, dude. Holy shit. There's a lot of good fights there, man. He's ranked currently number 10, or that was before the fight. So today's Monday, so Tuesday they're going to probably update that. He'll probably be, I don't know, number 9 or 8. And then, yeah, I mean, the Kai Kara France fight is there. That's a good fight. That's already has a story, a backstory. Davison Figueiredo is also there. I know hasn't been really active since the Moreno fight, so we're gonna see what happens. Has he fought anyone? No, he hasn't fought anyone since he fought Moreno. So he could, that could be a good opponent for him. Kind of like a passing down the baton. But this guy's dangerous, bro. I'm very curious what's going to happen once this guy gets to the top. Once he's fighting like Moreno or Pantoja. Scary, dude. I think he's a future world champ. I'll say it right now. I think he's a future world champ. I think the flyweight division, I think Moreno did his thing. I think Pantoja is doing his thing right now, but it might not last too long. There's never really been like a reigning. Figueiredo was kind of reigning one, but then, the whole thing happened with Brandon. So that division hasn't had one reigning champ in forever. So Pantoja, let's see what happens, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do my boy fucking Manel. I have to remember his name still. Manel. I remember it because he's close to Manuel, so I remember that. Manel, if he wins one or two more, I think he's there. I think if he fights Kai Kara France and he wins, which I think he will, honestly. When I'm looking at both of the guys' skills, I don't know. I mean, Kai Kara France is good and he's scary, but he still hasn't proved that much. Manel just had a fantastic fight this past weekend, and, it's fresh in everybody's minds. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But if he wins that fight, he's right there, bro. That could be a number one contender fight, honestly. Or I don't know if they want to bring maybe Brandon Moreno in the mix or Figueiredo in the mix. But that's going to get interesting here in the next couple of months, if not year. I think what happens with that division, right? I don't think they're going to do a rematch between Pantoja and Moreno. It's unclear. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not even going to try to guess what happens. And I'm not even going to try to come up with a cool scenario like I always do for this. I just don't know. I mean, I don't know. You have Figueiredo, who's MIA. You have Brandon, who has fought for the title like 20 times in the last 2 years. I don't know what the fuck he's going to do. And you have Pantoja, who he could fight again, maybe someone like Figueiredo, or maybe someone like Kai Kara France. I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see, bro. But either way, when it happens and whatever happens, I'll be here to cover it. So, yeah, that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. Again, if you enjoyed it, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.